friend, my teacher, my role model, just an amazing human being.
Oh.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Seth. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Super glad you're here. Let me explain who Susan is. She's an altMBA alum, altMBA 9, a perfect square. She runs the world's largest Sangha, an online digital meditation studio center. Community. And she's a best-selling author, New York Times bestsellers. Oh, here's one right here.
Oh.
Start Here Now. And she thinks more clearly about mindfulness, about being present in whatever moment we're encountering than almost anybody I know. And I'm just thrilled that you could take the time to stop by the office. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. It's always great to see you.
Tell us a little bit about the Open Heart Project. Let's start there.
Okay. Well, the Open Heart Project started when I taught retreats. And at the end of every meditation retreat, I would always suggest people to find a meditation instructor because it's important. It's a complicated practice, actually. And of course, 99% of people have no idea how to find such a person. So I just started collecting their email addresses and saying, well, as a stopgap, I'll send you a meditation instructional video 3 times a week. I cut it back to 1, just to help you stabilize your practice and to help look at it beyond something that's just like a life hack, but a way to actually change your life.
Yeah.
So I started preceding the videos with little talks, and now it's, over 20,000 people all over the world practicing together with me. It's an incredible honor.
So I want to talk for a minute about the meta part, and then we'll get into the internal part. So let's be clear here. Somebody who lives in Cambridge, Massachusetts, with technology you can buy at a local photo store, is able to connect and lead 20,000 people in more than 40 countries around the world on a regular basis.
Who knew?
Stunning, right?
It's
and
amazing.
So one of the lessons of the altMBA, which isn't about tactics, but is about thinking, is that everybody has this lever that we don't necessarily want to acknowledge that we have. So that you were one of a million meditation teachers, but now you're one of one. Somebody who's figured out how to weave together this community. And I'm just stunned by that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And one of the things that's really surprised me about it, that also kind of surprised me about altMBA, was in both cases, these are very intimate experiences.
Right.
You think, oh, well, it's online, it's virtual, so, it's second best. But it isn't, because the distance between you and the person you're talking to is like this.
Right.
So it actually feels very connected in both cases.
Beautiful. Now I want to get to the heart of it, though, which is where I think the relevance for many of the people who are watching this is. It's widely misunderstood what it even means to be mindful. That it has nothing to do with folding your legs and nothing to do with going like this. That there's something to the practice that's happening during the day while you are present in the room with the problem, with the people, with the challenge, with the decision. Talk to me about what that feels like. What is that?
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. And people think mindfulness or meditation means somehow always feeling calm, or else people look at it as a life hack that's going to be a shortcut to get somewhere else.
Right.
And of course, it isn't. And also people think, well, in order for me to reap the benefits of meditation, I have to be good at meditation. However, I want to assure anyone that it doesn't matter if you're good at meditation or not. Like if you were the world's best follower of the breath or the #1 reciter of mantras, that would not be that great. What is great is when you get up off the cushion and go into your life, you are great at being yourself because you can attend to your experience. You can place your attention on the people you're speaking to, the feelings in your heart, the things that surprise you. You can be with it. That creates a foundation for a life of meaning and value. And that's where the practice really pays off.
And our friend Tammy uses the phrase spiritual warrior, which is also very confusing. Let me try one small take on it, which is we, like every species, has evolved to be really good at running away. And there are moments when you want to run away and you want to stay. And that moment is called stress, when 2 things are going on in your head at the same time. And one of the things that I take away from your work is this idea of not running away, of eagerly going into the burning building, not running away.
Yeah.
Am I making that up?
No.
Because you're allowed to change. You change my mind all the time, so feel free.
No, you are not making it up. And I love the phrase spiritual warrior. And it's surprising to people, I think, that when their practice takes root, which could happen in a week, could happen in a month, it doesn't take that long, you actually start to feel more, because people start to meditate because they want to feel less. They don't want pain to hurt. They don't want to be distracted by difficulty. But when you sit to meditate, you sit with yourself exactly as you are. That's a beautiful gesture of friendship that we rarely make to ourselves.
Yeah, that's great.
In so doing, the wall starts to come down. And when it does, anything can come in, and does. So that the trick, as it were, is to lean into what arises. And then, guess what? You're living your life, not your ideas about your life.
And if you go to a Chinese restaurant, don't expect that the food's not going to be spicy, because it might be spicy, and that's part of what you signed up for. A couple of little announcements here. The first one is, if you type start in the comments, Fraser's Magical Bot will send you a little Facebook Messenger alert every day with prompts, with ideas, with blog posts. We're getting great feedback about it. If you don't like it, you can turn it off. It's free. Start is what you should type in the comments. Number 2, you can go visit Susan's site. And how would we do that?
You could go to susanpiver.com.
That's how we get into the Open Heart Project?
It's all right there.
It's all right there. Susan, how do you spell susanpiver.com?
Susan, S-U-S-A-N, Piver, P-I-V-E-R, like diver, but with a P.
Oh, interesting.
Susan
Not like river, but with a P?
Well,
Because then it
river.
would be Susan. Yeah, the whole thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, also the one thing I want to mention here is, I think, and I've written about this, there's a very big difference between spirituality and religion, between a practice and the idea of something that's organized. And we don't spend a lot of time on these Facebook Lives or on my blog talking about religion. I think that anyone can make their own choice about that. But a practice is something that can spread across any or no religion. And these practices are things that we adopt. They become habits. They become part of us. And we can use them to engage with other people. And I'm hopeful that people watching this will not use them to divide ourselves from other people, because there's no reason to do that. They're open for anyone from any background who wants to use this way of being in the world to make decisions, to lead, to see.
Absolutely. Because there's only one path, and that is your life. And though I have been a Buddhist for more than 2 decades, one of my great takeaways is that beliefs are an obstacle. Beliefs take you out of your experience. So yes to what you're saying. Your spiritual practice, or your practice, is about your life and your experience, and it's very intimate. And if anyone tries to tell you this is what you should believe or this is what you should do, you should run away.
Right, and this whole idea that you're bad at meditating or that you're doing it wrong, it's like being bad at breathing. I mean, it's gotten you this far. Go for it.
Right.
We have questions, so we're going to do that because that's the best part of Facebook
Fine.
Live.
All right, so this one's from Carrie. What is your best advice for sticking with meditation? I do it for a few days and then I stop.
Yes. Carrie?
Carrie.
Hi, Carrie. That's a really good question. And everybody has this question in some way or another. Almost everyone I've ever spoken to about their practice feels like, I'm not good at it. I should do it more. I do it for 5 minutes. I should do it for 10, and so on. So please rest assured you're not alone. There are 3 things that can help you stabilize your practice. The first one you're already doing. It's connecting to your own wakefulness. And every time you sit down to practice, you do that. So don't worry about that. The second is to establish some sort of connection to the path that begins to unfold for you. That you can journal about your experience. You can read books about this practice, whatever you choose. And the third, this is the most important thing, I was quite surprised to find out, is to take the time to practice with other people. Even if you don't know anyone who practices, you can still say to a friend, or even if you don't know anyone in your town, you can still tell to a friend who lives, across the world, let's sit together. And you can text each other. But just that sense of I'm doing it with someone else turns out to be the ballast that actually stabilizes the whole thing. So good luck.
Once again, the mastermind group shows back up in our lives. The altMBA is built on this idea of a mastermind group.
Yep.
This is the idea. Human beings would like to think, some would like to think, they're born alone, they live alone, they die alone. It's up to you. And I've never met anybody like that.
I haven't either.
Right? That it turns out that when we engage with others in real life, and real life can be online, when we are seeing and being seen, everything changes for us.
I could not agree with you more. And we think as Westerners too, you go in that room, you sit there and you do your practice, or you make your idea come alive, and then you come out going, why do I feel so weird or unsatisfied or doubtful? And it's because you need some kind of companionship.
Bravo. So Sam, what happens April 9th?
That is the first party deadline for the summer session of the altMBA.
Okay, so altMBA. Now we're just starting up the spring sessions right now. Summer is a really good time for it. If you're in Australia, it's a great time because it's the middle of winter. If you're in California or New York or wherever, it's a great time because things slow down a little bit in real life. We would love for you to consider the altMBA. It's at altMBA.com. We got tons of stuff there if you want to check it out. We'd love to hear from you. The 9th, which is a week from now, give or take, is a great time to make sure we hear from you by. Okay, back to our next question.
All right, this one's from Jeremy. How could you measure mindfulness?
I love that question, Jeremy. You can't measure mindfulness, but here's what you can measure. You can measure patience, you can measure kindness, you can measure wisdom, and you can measure confidence. These are the attributes of the awakened mind. So from your meditation practice, you don't want to look for how good am I at it or how long can I do it. You want to look at your life. How much kinder can I be to others? How much more wisdom can I have about my own life? That's where the practice really shows up, and you can measure that.
My friend Lisa quoted me a line from The Gods Must Be Crazy. Two people are sitting on the airplane, and one keeps looking at the other. And finally she says, is the noise inside my head bothering you? If the noise inside your head is bothering other people, that's how you know you might not. You might need to work on it.
All right, this one's from Amy. How can practicing meditation impact leadership and innovation?
Well, that is such a great question. I love that question, Amy. Well, I'll start with innovation because that is, for most of us in the work world today, the ability to innovate, like sort of on a dime, is like perhaps the most desirable quality that you can have. And I want to point out something about innovation that I find really interesting. You cannot think your way into innovation. Innovation is something that arises. The same with wisdom, the same with patience, the same with insight. These are things that arise. No matter how good your game is, you can't go out and say, today I will innovate. Instead, you have to relax. You have to let your mind rest, create some space, and then insight is much more likely to arise. So a mindfulness practice, a meditation practice, to me is intimately tied to the ability to be innovative, because they're both, innovation is a consequence of receptivity. In terms of leadership, oh my God, where could we even start? The ability to communicate with others, to be able to tell, this person's on the same page with me, this person is not. Now I need to push everyone. Now I need to lean back. These are consequences of attunement to the present moment. And in this sense, mindfulness could not be, I can't think of anything more important for a leader or a creative person than the ability to attend to the present moment and allow your mind to be as brilliant as it is. Does that make sense?
It does. I want to chime in on the first one, though,
Okay.
because I think you can innovate on purpose. But I think the reason most people don't is that what is required is to say to yourself, I'm about to do something that might not work.
That's right.
And that's very hard to do. And the reason is because we were trained from a young age to only get an A, to only raise your hand when you know the answer. Imagine what happens to the 8-year-old who raises his hand and the teacher calls him and says, right? You're supposed to know the answer before you raise your hand.
Yeah.
But innovation requires that you don't know the answer before you raise your hand.
Yes.
So what I think the space that mindfulness creates says, you can simultaneously raise your hand and not know the right answer, trusting that that thing you bring to the table might be generous. It might not be right, but it might be generous. And the practice of this might not work is a practice of possibility.
I Completely agree.
Good.
All right, we're getting lots of questions.
Oh, good.
All right, so this one's from Dan. Thank you for this video. I teach public school teachers to reduce stress and improve self-care through meditation and mindfulness. What's one thing I'm probably not telling them that I should?
Dan, thank you for your good work in the world. That is fantastic. I appreciate you so much for it, and I'm sure Seth does too. My teacher, nobody has to have a teacher, but I happen to, has told me that if he could boil the entire spiritual path down to one word, that word would be relax. When it comes to meditation practice and mindfulness, we're trying very hard. And it's okay, good, please put some effort in, it's required. But what is equally required is to just relax and to allow it to unfold. So when you think about, well, what does it mean to really relax? It doesn't mean fall asleep or space out. It means to be completely present. So if you're teaching teachers how to meditate, I would really encourage you to encourage them to relax, because they're working hard right now. And the more they can relax with their practice, the more the practice will start to lead them. And then that is extremely trustworthy. So, I don't know, would you add anything to that?
It's beautiful.
Okay.
All right, this one's from Jason, and he's actually coming to the spring session of the altMBA. He's asking, how have you used the altMBA in your career?
Oh my. Well, I did do the altMBA. altMBA 9, as mentioned, and it was, thank you. It was a fantastic experience. So I'll tell you how I used altMBA. First, it's like discovering a secret brain trust that you didn't know existed. And suddenly you have people to talk to about your ideas, your strategies, your systems. And they're so generous. And if you are a solopreneur or a creative person, and anyone with an idea is a solopreneur and a creative person, it's really easy for your mind to get all twisted around and for you to fall into self-doubt, or for you to listen to people that are going, I don't know about that, or I'm not sure that's going to work. But in the altMBA, I found like this cache of people who are like, that can work and you can do it, and I'm going to help you figure it out. It was powerful. The other truly powerful thing I discovered was how much more I am capable of than what I thought.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I'm like, I'm a writer. I can only write between these hours. Guess what? You're writing at those hours now. And boom, the words came out. So it really enabled me to stretch my concept of what I'm capable of. And then the relationships, just even this morning, I was getting texts from people that were in my altMBA saying, commenting on this or that. So it's like
fantastic.
Joining the society you always wanted to be a part of.
I love that. Thank you for that, Susan.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do two more.
Two more.
Oh.
See, I told you, time just...
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so this one is from Marie, and she's an alum also of the altMBA. She said, in the altMBA, we learned to also create tension. How do we balance this with relaxing?
That is a great question.
I'll try first.
Please.
And then you should chime in.
Mm-hmm.
What is tension? Tension is the space between where you are and where you might be. Tension is, this could work, this could not work. Tension is, do I want to walk through this door? Relaxing doesn't mean drinking a Mai Tai on the beach. Relaxing means stop fighting with yourself and be here now. Those two things work together completely, because what's happening is, in a state of non-relaxation, in this moment you're trying to be in two places at the same time. In a state of tension, forward motion is possible. That when a rubber band gets stretched, there's tension. The tension is released when it moves together again. So what we're trying to do when we lead, the only way to lead, is to paint a picture for the future that matches where people would like to go. And to make that picture so vivid that people want to go there with you. You can't guarantee it. The fact that you can't guarantee it is what brings on tension. And we need to be able to do that on purpose, because if we flee tension thinking it's like relaxation, we're stuck. We have to stay where we are.
Mm-hmm. I agree. As you were talking, I was thinking tension and relaxation is the perfect formula for flow.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you're a writer. I'm a writer. you have to relax to create something. But at the same time, you cannot fall asleep and drink a Mai Tai on the beach, much as that might be awesome from time to time. You have to be awake. So I would replace the word tension with awake. Awake and relaxed. That's what we're looking for.
Nicely said.
Okay, and the last question. So this one's from Aria. Do you have any new projects you're working on, Susan? And can you give us a sneak peek?
Funny you should mention.
Well, I'd be delighted. Yes, I have a book coming out in June. It's the first time I'm experimenting with self-publishing, so I'm really excited about it. It's challenging, it's daunting, it's cool. And the book is called The Four Noble Truths of Love, Buddhist Wisdom for Modern Relationships. Nobody has to be a Buddhist, but what I've discovered in my own life, my own relationships, that there is this trove of extraordinary, deep wisdom on how to love, how to recover from lost love, how to make love last, that is different than the conventional wisdom. So it has been my honor and delight to put it in a book, and I'm really
fantastic.
excited.
And you'll be
for it.
alerting people who sign up on your website, so they'll be able to get a first look at it.
Come on over.
Susan Piver, Piver, rhymes with river.com. Sam, we're good? Okay, thank you guys for tuning in. This is always fun. Can't wait to see you next time.
Thank you, Seth.
Thanks, Susan.